All right. Welcome to In the Paint. We're here tonight. Of course, it's what day is today? Today's Tuesday night. I see one of my men coming in. So again, welcome to In the Paint, the live stream here on StreamYard. Tonight, no Max 611, so that means we're not getting cut off. So everything is good in that respect. But let me bring my boy in here. We're gonna talk about some sports tonight. We got a whole bunch of different things. Good evening, sir. How are you tonight?
Good evening, Mr. R. Can you hear me? Because this is the first time I'm not using my headset.
Exactly, but I can hear you loud and clear. Thanks for joining me. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that. It might be just the two of us tonight. I don't know.
Hey,
Whatever, it's all good. You know?
I figured I'd bring you upstairs to my skybox tonight.
Nice. Nice. Looks nice. Looks very well lit as well. So, you know,
chilly out there.
y'all listen, tell me about it. This morning I woke up here, it was like, okay, where's my jacket at? You know?
It was 68 degrees this morning.
Yeah. Well, check this out, bro. We had like 55 out here. So yeah, it was crazy. I love it too, but I'm just saying, the change, it happens like right so quickly. You know what I'm saying? You're not really prepared for it. You know what I mean? So listen. Oh, here we got another brother coming in. I got my man, Mr. David Sanford. And of course, this is my man Dominique Donardo. And let's add Mr. Sanford. What's up, brother, man?
Hey, what's up?
Hey,
what's up?
There he is, rocking his New York Met hat. You know.
Now, actually, this is it's not actually. It's
No?
no, it's a company that I found. It's like called Residency, and this hat is actually called the Garden.
Gotcha.
And then
It's just that the colors.
The colors,
you know?
It's also Knicks, but
Yeah.
it's called the Garden. And then they had another one called the Soho. They have one for the Bronx, and
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I hear you. Well, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah. Glad to be here.
Okay, cool. Listen, we're gonna get into it and right on schedule, because this young man, Mr. Sanford, and I, we attended many a game at Shea Stadium, so we were Met fans growing up.
Yep.
And the good news. So, billionaire Steve Cohen purchased the New York Mets for $2.4 billion. This is going through, but it's also pending approval. I think it's like they have to get 23 out of 27 or 29.
Yeah.
To go along with this before it can go be official. But this is good news for me, and this is good news for a lot of Met fans as well. Now, I know I've jumped off the bandwagon for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, I did, because I was getting turned off with the Wilpons were doing, just a whole mismanagement from top to bottom. I hated the trainers because you could never get guys off the disabled list, and when they did, they got right back on it. It was just inexcusable in my eyes. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that type of management. But now changes are coming, and thank God. Hopefully, this brings about a new hope, some optimism. What's the thing I always say? Hope springs eternal. It's very true in this instance. It's very true in this instance. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, thank God. And I'm happy. I'm also happy that the Wilpons they only control a little bit. I know Cohen has like 95% in. You understand? There's no, the Wilpons have nothing, absolutely nothing, no say so, nothing to do with that. It's all on this guy here, and thank God for that.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I just want you to know that I put in my bid, and I was about I was about almost $2 billion short on it. We were about this far apart. So
right.
But I will say, I'm optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, when it was the Wilpons and the Double Days, that's when the Mets were winning, and they were actually spending some money. Once the Wilpons took over the show, and then from Fred to his son Jeff, they got very tight with the purse strings, and the coupons, the cheap-ons, and however fans wanted to call them. I've always stayed a Met fan because I just root for the team, but I didn't. I really didn't invest too much in terms of what they were going to do. Sometimes they'd surprise me, sometimes they wouldn't. And like you say about the trainers, I think that the training staff was like working on commission or something because it was like the more bodies they had, the more they got paid because
exactly.
Yeah,
they were straight trash. I'm sorry, go ahead, Dave.
No, I agree with that. So as with being a Met fan in general, hope always springs eternal. With or without a new ownership. But this gives us a more reason to have some kind of hope because the guy's got money. I think he's going to be like one of the richest owners.
Yes.
In all of American sports. So the signs are there that would lead me to believe that they would do something, and I'm sure that he's going to want to come in and make a big splash.
Right.
What it is, I don't know, and I don't know even like who's going to be available for next year. But I right now I'll just be optimistic about it. And I think I have reason to be optimistic.
Okay, well said, brother. Brother Dom, you want to chime in on this one?
Hey. Though I am not a Met fan.
Right.
I still like the Mets. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm not a Yankee fan that's anti-Met. I just hope the best. Because you know what, guys? It's been a long time. Let's be honest. Y'all see it a lot more upfront and, personal than me.
For sure.
But it's been a long time coming. But again, what can he do? I hope it ain't part of that deal we heard about the last time he was going to sell the team where he still has some kind of control for 8 years.
I think they got rid of that.
Yeah, I hope that's not part of the deal. And I hope the other people that he brings in with him are, baseball savvy.
Right.
You could have money, guys. Let's keep it real.
Yeah.
Plenty of owners that have money can't get out their own way.
Yep.
So let's hope he brings in some good people. I don't know about the GM. Do you come in at your money? Do you reinvent the whole wheel, get your own GM, your own president, let them hire the manager? Like almost an expansion team. You're starting from the basement. Let's do it right. Not saying you got to get rid of all the players, but at least get your management in place. Again, sort of like, I hate to use the Knicks as an analogy, but sort of like what the Knicks are doing right now.
Right.
Yeah.
We got all the management pieces in place. Now let's move forward. And the Mets have some good young talent, guys. Let's not act like the Mets are.
No, they got a good core.
Yeah, let's not act like they're trash, guys. I'm a Yankee fan. I ain't gonna call them trash. So they got some good young talent.
Yeah.
They just need.
They need to be kind of cultivated, so to speak.
Yeah, do the right thing.
That's what it is.
You know what I mean?
Agree. I agree, Dom.
Right. Now I'm gonna put my boy's comment here, even though it says Mark Cunningham, but that's the wrong comment. So forgive me for that. Where the hell is that at? That's the wrong one. Yeah, this guy, my man Howard Spade, he said A-Rod should have bought the Mets and given DeGrom to the Yankees for free. I'm like, dude, you're tripping. You're tripping.
So now you put up Mark's comment.
Yeah, exactly. I made the mistake right there. You know what I mean?
No, I assume that was geared as a joke.
Yeah.
This was the Mets. They would just give up players.
Right.
Take on the Canoes of the world.
Right.
Let's hope this is the new.
Because the GM was his agent.
Right. Yeah. Well, and you know what? And that's another thing I want to bring up about this sale and whatnot, and how it could affect Brody. I'm not a fan of Brody from jump. So now, and David, you had mentioned the fact about this guy might want to make a splash. Maybe not so much with free agency, but getting rid of the GM.
Maybe. I will say this. I think that the Mets, unfortunately, in the past, several years, they developed a culture of losing.
Right.
And I will say that even in their inception, they were loved because they were losers. They were the lovable losers. And so losing has always been connected to the Mets image.
Right.
And, so that's why when they won, the couple times that they did win it all, it was such a huge thing because people, it was like rooting for the underdogs, even though the '86 Mets were definitely not underdogs.
No.
But the culture around Shea and Citi Field has often been that of losing. And what I mean is not the players. It's a mentality of acceptance.
Right.
And I use I'm not a Yankee fan, but I'm not a Yankee hater.
Right.
And I use the Yankees as an example. There are certain teams and franchises that are associated with winning. So the Yankees, the Patriots, teams like I guess the Lakers and so forth, where they have an expectation of winning, and that needs to be the new mindset around Citi Field.
Indeed.
Indeed. So I always say all you got to do is look to the next borough. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally, the layout, Queens. You go over the bridge right there, the Thrive Neck Bridge. You're right over there in the Bronx. That's all as far as you have to look if you want an example of how to create a winning environment. And then the players that are looking at coming to a new team and the Mets as an option, they will see the Mets as a place where they have an opportunity to win. Anybody that goes to the Yankees, they always say this, I've been a Yankee fan all my life. I always wanted to put on. No, you've been following, you want to win. And you know that this is an organization where winning is the expectation.
Right.
So that's the culture that needs to be created around Citi Field.
I think it will be. I really do believe so because, like I said, the pockets are very deep, obviously. And he's going to be able to go out and get players to compete. Hopefully, he's a fan. You understand?
I think he is a Met fan. From my understanding, he's a lifelong Met fan, which is great. So it's not just a business thing for him. He legitimately wants to see the Mets succeed. I mean, Will Pond was a Dodger fan.
There you go.
And that's why you have an ode to the Brooklyn Dodgers, from the Rotunda to, of course, the Jackie Robinson, 42 right there in the Rotunda. And that was the complaint when Citi Field was first built, is that it looked more like a monument to the Brooklyn Dodgers than it did the Mets. And then they had to convince them to paint the walls blue. Right. And different things like that, to make it look more like the Shea Stadium definitely felt like the Mets Stadium. Citi Field felt like it was this tribute to the Brooklyn Dodgers, and the Mets happened to inhabit it. And it took a little pushing from fans to say, we do have some history. And let's showcase that. You should walk in there and feel that you're in the Mets ballpark. Beautiful ballpark, but again, it came from the mindset of someone who was a Dodger fan trying to recreate, I guess, his childhood of going to Evans Field. So that needs to be, at the forefront that it is a fan with deep pockets, as you said. And has a personal stake at wanting the Mets to win, other than just being a business decision.
Right, and I think that's a huge key. You want to chime in? You look like you're moving around a little bit.
Did the outside of Citi Field, like when you're coming in, doesn't it sort of resemble Ebbets Field?
It is. It is a complete recreation. The Rotunda is a complete recreation of Ebbets Field.
Right.
That's what it is. And it's a beautiful ballpark. I like it, and I like that old turn to the old, but it was like too much Ebbets and very little of the Mets and Shea and over the years they added a lot more things to make it look like the Mets Stadium. But when it first opened, it definitely just looked like he remade Ebbets Field.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was the problem. He couldn't understand. I'm just happy that Cohen is a Met fan and will look to have this team be much more competitive. on a consistent basis, so to speak.
Yeah.
And get this team going, man. This is right now. There's no reason in the world, and I know it might take a little time to get it all put together, but there's no reason why this trend, the culture of losing, as you referred to, David, should continue to go on with a new owner like this. You understand? It should be a change.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So we'll see from that point. You know what I'm saying, guys?
Yeah.
Let's do a little moving on. I think we got the bishop is in.
All right.
The house. Good evening, Sir Bishop.
What's up? How you doing?
Doing good, man. How you feeling, brother?
What's going on, fellas?
How you doing?
All right.
Happy to be alive.
Yep.
Indeed.
All right.
Yes, indeed. We're gonna move on.
With my brethren.
Who?
My brethren.
The stutter man? The stutter?
All jokes aside, before we go any further, it's funny Bishop brings that up. I was in the hospital for like 2 days.
Oh man, I hope you're all right, man. I mean, what happened?
They found, some blockage and
wow.
The hospital for a few days. It wasn't, nothing major, but they caught it.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God. Man.
But Bishop brings that up. That's, guys, trust me, that's another reason why I decided let me start coming in the house and do this, because I haven't smoked in like
I was going to say, yeah. This is the first time I see you in the house.
All right. Stay in here, I don't know. But I again, guys, it's weird. I don't want to get off the sports tip, but the funny thing is I've challenged every trigger that made me smoke. Like in the morning, I wake up, have my coffee, I go sit outside like I always did, but now I have a toothpick.
Okay.
So now I decided, So it's been almost 2 weeks.
Congratulations. Let me tell you what's true about that. You have to break certain, habits. And I'm not just exactly. You understand? Like you just said, Dave. And that's just what it is, man. Because once you stop that, you'll be on the road to quitting completely. You know what I'm saying? That goes with damn near every habit. You understand what I'm saying? So
to Dom, sometimes that's what it is. Something forces you to do it, because I tell you, I was a long time smoker.
What?
And from teenage years to my 20s into my 30s, and I quit a couple of times, but then I kept going. And in 2005, I went on a family vacation to Costa Rica, and I flipped on an ATV, broke my ankle in 3 places.
Damn.
And this was February of 2005, and I had to have surgery. The doctor said, if you wanted to heal quicker, you should quit smoking, because it takes the oxygen away, And I quit cold turkey, and that was March. I want to say March 1st, 2nd, 2005, and I haven't touched a cigarette since.
God bless, brother.
So
exactly.
It was the breaking of the ankle that forced me to make a decision. So, Dom, that's happens like that.
Weird story, Dave. I had just got all my stuff in the mail from the VA, the patch, the gum. And I said, you know what? They say pick a date. Monday's Labor Day. I'm going to start this Monday.
Right.
I never made it to Monday. But that being said, and trust me, guys, when you're there, you go through all the. I was mad at myself. I'm in there first. Doctor came in there. Hey, you're gonna be all right. I'm like, fuck. I did this shit. Hey, you'll still be able to do everything you was doing. You just got to stay off the cigarettes.
That's right.
There you go. There you go.
You did it to yourself, Dave. You just smoke it.
That's right.
Right? Yep. But
it's
difficult. Tell you, Dave. I've heard my friends tell me, especially my buddy in California, Don, better stop testing those triggers. But sometimes whatever works for you works for you.
That's right.
Yesterday, not after I'll stop. Yesterday was the weirdest one, guy, because I decided to go to my neighbor's house because he came and he did my grass for me. So I went to his house, and I guess my wife must have told his wife I was in. So I'm in there now. Smoke. Don't be afraid to smoke. Smoke.
Right.
Y'all my last test. Y'all the last test. I I don't know many people that smoke except them, but they're in there, and I see them looking at them. I'm like, don't worry about it. Oh, then smoke. I want you to stop, but But that
there you go.
That's Dave, because I don't know anybody else that smoked.
Right.
Oh, but they were funny. They was going in the corner like little kids.
I know. Trust me, I know. I did 1 hour at a time, not 1 day at a time, 1 hour at a time.
I hear that. Yeah. Hey, listen, let me welcome my boy Nico, newly transplanted in Cali from Chi-Town. You know, what's up, Chi?
What up, y'all? What up, fam?
What up? Good to have you on, brother. Good to have you on, Dom. You know? All right, and you're just in time because we're about to get into some NBA real quick, man. The Houston Rockets head coach Mike D'Antoni will not return to the team next year, he says. This is long overdue. That's all I'm going to say right now. I'm going to let you guys play with this ball for a minute before I chime back in. You know what I'm saying? So who wants to start off this particular discussion?
He'll have a job in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're not lying about that. That's right. You never lying about that.
That's a strong possibility. I'm not going to deny that, you know?
I'm going to give the floor to Bishop after this, but I heard this weird stat on NBA radio this morning.
Okay.
Over the last 4 or 5 years, I think it might be 5, he has the second highest winning percentage of any coach in the Western Conference.
Dang.
Then the one conference finals. He's done better and more than Doc Rivers.
Wow.
When Doc Rivers with the Clippers, guys.
Right.
Conference finals, he don't have the second best winning percentage. It shocked me when I heard this, but come on, guys, y'all know as much as we rag Houston, they have a pretty good record, don't they? They just tend to, go belly up in the playoffs. But the second highest winning percentage of any coach in the Western Conference. Guess who was number 1? It's not hard to figure it out. Steve Kerr.
That figures. That figures.
I was shocked. I was like, he'll have a job in 2 weeks. It might not even take 2 weeks.
He's probably already got something lined up.
Yeah. That's why he said I'm not coming back.
Yeah. So the crazy thing to me is, so when I said this to you guys a couple of weeks ago, y'all all blew me up. Y'all was all like, you don't know what I'm talking about, this and that. It's like, his system is great for the regular season.
See,
it is superb for the regular season. And in the Western Conference, them winning that amount of games, playing with no big man is amazing.
Yeah.
And with Harden leading the league in all of the major stats, except for rebounding, I said to you guys, James Harden is statistically the league MVP. You guys all said to me, no, what you talking about, this and that. And then the stat man pulled up the stats. More points, more assists. You know who led the league in steals this year?
James Harden?
James Harden led the league in steals this year.
No, come on, really?
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
Only category that Giannis outlasted him was rebounding.
Okay.
And the blocks.
And blocks.
But right. Thanks.
James Harden averaged 34 points a game with teams focusing on stopping him. That's crazy.
Wow. That is crazy.
Those good points. Good. I can't argue with that.
Nah, me neither. But let me just, what my man Dom in the NC was saying about the winning percentage. See, this is where I have a problem with D'Antoni, to tell you honestly, is the fact that, all those stats are great. That's wonderful. You win a lot of games, but can you get it done in the postseason? That's the defining the difference right there for me. You understand? All those wins, but doesn't translate in the playoffs. That's my biggest beef with him. So it makes me question, really, how good is he? You understand? Maybe that's a bit out of line for me to say so, but I got to get that off my chest.
I'm going to ask a question to you guys because you're much more knowledgeable about it than I am. But with all the credit to D'Antoni as far as his winning percentage during the regular season, has he ever had a team that was favored to win?
Phoenix
Because
was his best shot.
Yeah, Phoenix.
So with the Houston teams, he's never had a team that was actually favored to win.
No.
Nah.
So I just wonder. I mean, I'm not a D'Antoni fan. I'm not a D'Antoni fan. I'm just asking, the question of, so did he match the expectations, or was it that he actually, failed? Because we're looking at his losses, but who did he lose to?
It depends on who you ask, Dave, and Bishop and Arno. There's some people in the beginning of the year pick Houston. You know, maybe have been a wild card, just small ball might work. But as far as him being like the consensus favorite, no. But I will go back to what I said. He went out with his guns blazing. He went out the way he came in. We're going to do it this way. I'm going to ride this shit till the wheels fall off.
Right.
Now, can he carry that somewhere else?
Well, the problem to me is, and it was like that when he was in Phoenix, because when he was in Phoenix, they had a high octane offense with Steve Nash and them boys and Amari Stoudemire and all of them, but they couldn't get out of the playoffs because what happens is you play teams that are much better suited in the playoffs, and especially once you get past that first round, the teams hone in and they basically take the things that are your strengths away from you in the playoffs, and then he has no answers. Like his in-game adjustment game is so whack. It's so whack.
See, again, and I'm glad you just brought that up with his whole in-game adjustment. That's what I'm saying. For a coach that's supposed to be this genius and whatnot, your in-game adjustments are whack. They're trash. Yeah. So again, how good are you? I'm sorry. How good are you?
Well, his philosophy, what I said before, stimulates philosophical basketball conversations. It causes people to talk about basketball in a way that they normally wouldn't have. But it's like, dude, like that's not a winning formula. Like that's not a winning formula. You're never going to win the championship like that.
Exactly.
He's like an analyst dream. They can talk about it.
At the beginning of the Lakers series, ESPN, Stephen A. Smith, Jay Williams, and some other whack commentator, and they were actually. I'm like, I'm listening to this pre-game. They actually were talking like the Rockets' style was going to be a problem for the Lakers. Well, this could really be a disadvantage to the Lakers because when they do their small ball and this and that. I'm like, are you guys foolish? Like what's going on? Like what are you guys watching?
Right.
What are you guys watching? Like, do you realize they get ready to play LeBron James and Anthony Davis? So
how much of it though do you think is the analysts and ESPN and the others selling the series? It's like
that's what it is.
But they've got to promote it and they've got to give the fans, or the casual fans at least, a reason to want to be invested in this series. They don't want to go out and say, well, LeBron and the Lakers are going to run all over them, and so why bother? So they give reasons, and then what? Sometimes like a broken clock. Sometimes they may strike it. Right, and then they can go back to it and say, "See, I told you this, and I said that," and it promotes that. But I think a lot of that is just hyping it up.
That was just foolish talk. That was just foolish talk from the beginning. It was just foolish. And just for the record, Boston just lost in overtime.
Did you see that?
I got the Heat win. I got the Heat winning 4-1.
The Heat are surprising me. I haven't paid attention.
Yeah, I can't.
I haven't paid attention.
I think we've been talking about these guys for a few minutes now.
Not really.
Yeah,
exactly. Game.
Not really. The Heat got 9 dogs. 9 dogs. 9 dogs.
So they may be a case of built for the playoffs, as opposed to, because what I wanted to ask you guys too is you guys touched on it before when Bishop, you mentioned about the MVP numbers. So with Harden, the other person that they always talk about is Giannis. And what do you guys think about it? Because usually people talk about MVP and they talk about the regular season, but then they talk about how somebody did in the playoffs, and then they promote that, especially if they win. But Giannis, he's not doing well in the past couple of years in the playoffs either. So I wonder what the comparison you guys have as far as what the argument would be made for one versus the other.
He's going to get it because he's the safe choice. LeBron deserves it because he's still doing it after how many years? He's still putting up numbers. Yeah. He's still putting up numbers, but they're never going to give it to him again because of his social, his outreach and his activism and so forth. So because
he doesn't shut up and play ball.
Right. Whoever has the votes, I'm not going to vote for him. So Giannis is the safe choice. Giannis is the safe choice because they won a bunch of games in a weak Eastern Conference, and you can see how weak the conference is because again you get spanked by what was Miami? Miami was what seed? 5 seed?
I think they're the 5th or 6th seed.
5.
Yeah.
They're the 5 seed, and if Orlando had a couple of more pieces, they would have took them to Game 7.
They probably would have. I don't even doubt it.
Right.
Hey, Orlando always win like one game in the playoffs and then get swept. They've been doing this for like I think 2 or 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Straight up.
But I tell you, man, let me tell you, as far as the Giannis talk, man, I mean, I agree. He's a safe choice.
You're not going to call him Pippen, though, are you?
No, I'm not going to call him Pippen. I just think that he needs. And that's not an insult. It really isn't.
Yeah.
It's not an insult to call him that, but I'm not going to call him that. But what I will say is, Giannis is Giannis. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think he's a damn good player. He needs to do some work on a few things in his game. You know what I'm saying? But he'll win the MVP. But I just think that Dom. You know what I'm saying? But I just think that maybe perhaps on another team where there's better pieces,
better coach.
Definitely a better coach. He could flourish more. Because that whole Budenholzer nonsense is ridiculous. He hasn't developed this guy. Here's a guy that he has raw skill, and you've not developed it. You know what I'm saying? You haven't made it a diamond yet. It's still like a very bright, nice looking piece of charcoal. It's not a diamond as of yet. You know what I'm saying?
What also hurt them too is them investing all that money in Bledsoe. That was stupid.
Right.
That was just real stupid. So, people talking about Chris Paul going there.
Yep.
I mean, we'll see. That'll be a good fit for Giannis anyway, so he can play off the ball more.
Okay.
I would like to see him play off the ball more instead of him always.
He's still got to work on things himself, guys. I mean, I always say this: we could blame the coach because it's easy.
But if he has Chris Paul, then he doesn't have to worry about that. He can just cut to the basket because you're not going to stop him from just dunking all over you.
No, you're not.
But he's still developing game.
So
that's true.
Like Bishop said, in the playoffs, and we've seen it the last 2 years, you block him off from what he does. I don't care who the point guard is. You build that wall, and you don't let him get through the wall, and he's Giannis. It's kind of hard to do in the regular season because you're playing different teams every night, every other night. But in the playoffs, you're playing the same team. And when the Raptors created that blueprint last year, guys, we talk about this all the time.
Yeah, they did.
Right.
When the playoffs come, everybody followed the blueprint.
Yeah. So you think a point guard though like Chris Paul would allow Giannis to then be able to concentrate on improving the elements of his game that he would need because he doesn't have to worry about the things that with Chris Paul, he wouldn't have to do certain things. So he can then take his time and energy and focus on the things, Dom, that you said that he needs to work on, instead of, sometimes, it's like the case of where you spread yourself too thin and you're never really good at, anything. You're good, but you're not exceptional because you spend too much of your time focusing on things that you shouldn't have to focus on. So maybe that would allow him. But I think coaching to identify, because sometimes you have natural talent. A player like Giannis is used to just running up and down the court and doing what he wants to do. And sometimes you need that coaching to identify what your weaknesses are and tell you, what, I want you to work on this because you need to develop that. And sometimes because the player's ego, I can do it all. And you need that person to tell you, no, you can't and you shouldn't have to. And this is what I want you to do.
So the way Chris Paul handled himself with Oklahoma, because a lot of people say that Chris Paul was just a bad teammate and all of this stuff, but he played with two young point guards, and those point guards respected the hell out of him, and you saw that. So I think Chris Paul needs to play with players who want to win, and Giannis wants to win. Chris Paul played with Nate Griffin, who's an asshole, DeAndre Jordan, and he played with James Harden, who's an asshole. And now we want to sit up here and say that, well, Chris Paul can't play with nobody because he always yelling and he's hard on the players. Well, that point has been proven wrong with Oklahoma City, because them young guys could have been like, dude, you washed up. We ain't got to listen to you. But you saw how they respected him, and if you paid attention, every little play they made, or if they made a mistake, they'd be like, my bad, Chris. I'm going to do it this way, whatever, and always listen to him.
Okay.
Yeah, so the problem in Milwaukee, this just my analytical mind speaking here, just my opinion. The problem with Milwaukee is twofold. Well, I say threefold. First, the offensive scheme that he set up didn't match the personnel that he had. So you have Giannis, you have Chris Middleton, who I don't really care what people are saying. Like, Chris Middleton is pristine in a half-court set. His offensive game is pristine. Like, he's pretty much like unstoppable almost in a half-court set. So instead of you structuring an offense around that 1-2 punch during the regular season, you pretty much put the ball in Giannis's hand and told him to go buck wild and everybody eat off of Giannis.
Yeah.
Right.
The second thing is like the point guard situation. Giannis needs to play with a point guard that will catch him on cuts, that will push the ball up, that will create defensive imbalances by the way they push the ball and keep the tempo of the game, so that he can get easy baskets, so that he doesn't have to grind in the playoffs. In the regular season, it's fine because he's taking the ball out the basket on the defensive end and taking like 3 or 4 steps, and then he at the basket dunking. In the playoffs, you don't have that luxury. So you need to have a point guard that can hit you on cuts, that you can run pick and roll with, that can hit you on oops, that can create shots for everybody, and especially in that half court set. And they never. I mean, Chris Paul, I think the money, he would fit, a type of player like that would fit perfectly with them. But the money part, I think he's making more money than Bledsoe, and they've locked up all of their cap space with Giannis, Middleton, and Bledsoe. So it's kind of like, if you sign Chris Paul, then that means you got to get rid of some other players.
A lot of players.
Yeah, and then on top,
and they said he was dipping into the luxury tax too.
Yeah, and then
Milwaukee, to get somebody.
Yeah, and in Milwaukee, that ain't really an option unless, and it's like, and then again too, it's like, unless you know for sure as the owner that you're gonna win a championship, I don't even think these guys are really serious about paying out that extra loot just for the sake of impressing the fans. They'll just ride it out, get the jersey sales, get the people coming to games, and just live with that.
So I've been to Milwaukee maybe about 3 times. Spent time there. I got family there, and it's definitely a very blue collar town.
Right.
You know, and so to your point, you know, Bishop, about that spending the money and stuff like you know, to an extent, this is not New York, this is not LA, this is not a market like that, and you know the fans are they're not. That's not the way they think. They want to see that put on your hard hat, go out there, earn the dollars, and that's what they support. That's what they appreciate. So
and I know they got the new stadium.
Yeah.
They got the new stadium, but I mean, what money paid for that?
Right.
Right.
What money paid for that?
When you look at Bledsoe, we went over this last week, Bishop.
Yeah.
At the end of the road, right now, Chris Paul's making twice as much as Bledsoe.
Yep.
Bledsoe making 18 million, Paul's making 36, 37, and it goes up the next 2 years. So at the end of this contract, he's making close to $42 million a year.
Yeah.
So even if you touch the salary cap, guys, and the tax, you're still gutting a lot of contract.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, where do you go from there? Do you get these, again, one and dones? I don't mean college players. I mean like the Knicks have been doing. Keep grabbing these one and dones to fill positions just to get one play.
Good in it? You know who I think right now would fit good with them?
Oh,
Trey Burke.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's at a point in his career. He's at a point in his career where he's settled. He knows who he is. He's going to play how he needs to play. He can hit that shot. You got to respect the shooting ability. He ain't going to cost you a whole lot of money. And
he's a scoring point guard at face. He can score.
And you have him in that second unit too. You can have him playing with that second unit too. So in the first unit is Giannis and Middleton, and the rest of them they eat. In that second unit, you eat.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. I agree, Dom. I think the other game is on tonight. Denver and the Clippers, right? It's going on right now, right? I think it's a closely contested game right now. What are your guys' thoughts on this? I know people are talking about Denver. People want Denver to win now because they was down 3-1, and well, the Clippers have a lot to worry about. I know Dom in LA. Well, California. We was discussing this a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And I expressed a few concerns for the Clippers. I asked a few questions. Dom, let's continue on with that conversation with the fellas here. Let me, first of all, what are your thoughts on this series, brother?
The Denver Nuggets is just as a deeper of a team as the Clippers. The Clippers don't know how to stop the Joker. That's who's killing them. If they don't stop him tonight, it's a wrap. But I said, like, in the beginning of the playoffs, I was already going against the Clippers and the Lakers. So if the Clippers get eliminated, it happens. But I kind of saw this. I'm like, I don't think one of those teams is not gonna make it, man. And right now we seeing it. Paul George, he is having a good playoff series, but when Lou Williams is not hitting his shots and Patrick Beverly just running around crazy, he's willy-nilly out there on the court. I mean, what you gonna do after that? The Denver Nuggets got Michael Porter coming off the bench, and they need to pay him more because he can score. You got Plumlee, he do what he do. I mean, Gary Harris just came back. And Paul Millsap is starting to play because at first he wasn't really doing nothing.
No, he wasn't.
I got this team winning, man. Now I told Max 611, I'm like, next year or give it a few more years, the Denver Nuggets gonna be a dominant team. I don't care what nobody say.
I hear that. Well, didn't they take a step? They took a step forward because they're one game away from the conference finals.
But again, they're not. They're right where they were last year.
Okay.
Series before the conference. But the difference this year is Michael Porter Jr.
Right. Okay.
Now, whether they win or not, I want them to win just because I don't like Doc Rivers. I just throw that out there. I'm not a real fan. Highly overrated. The first big three, you only get one chip. You ain't done jack in LA. You ain't even getting to a conference final. And you're approximately 36 minutes away from not getting it to again. So that's the only reason I'm pulling for them. Then
I hear that.
I hate to keep looking. I wish the Nuggets would actually lose in a way because I'm tired of seeing Michael Porter. We've been over this a couple of times where the Knicks passed on him. So I'm getting a little sick of seeing this kid. But that's their
we passed on them too.
They went 7 games with Portland. So they're not getting no further than they did last year. If they lose tonight, they got as far as they did last year.
Okay. Correct.
Yeah, my perspective is a little bit different.
Yep.
So when I told you guys when the Utah and Denver series were playing, I told you guys that I hope both of the teams lose. They should blow both of them up.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
They both suck. They don't play any defense. I still feel the same way. I think the Clippers just took their foot off the gas on the defensive gas and allowed these dudes to get confidence. And it's like, I don't understand. Like, it's really simple to beat. It's really simple to beat them. Joker brings the ball up. Don't allow him to get comfortable at all. Don't allow him to dribble the ball up. Don't allow him to get comfortable. And if he's that far away from the basket, you can put a guard on him until he gets across half court. Like, make him work for everything. If he's taking that ball out and bringing it up court, you're going to have to work. You're going to have to work. Every time because that's what happens. He dribbles the ball. He gets into his flow. He gets that feel. And next thing you know, he's taking 1 foot fadeaway 3-point shots. Nothing but net. And he's doing that like all game. I'm like,
driving.
Yeah.
Yo, he drove 94 feet on him. 94 feet.
As a 7-footer.
That's why I was like, what the hell? But
right.
That's what I'm saying. If Patrick Beverly keep running around here with his head cut off, because he's supposed to be guarding him. If Joker is bringing that ball up the court, he's supposed to put Pat Bev on him. But Pat Bev he's just as out of control as Westbrook.
I would buy what Bishop's saying about the gas pedal and all that. But you was up 16 points in the last 2 games. Last 2 games this series. You had the foot on their throat for 2 games. Deciding game. We shouldn't even have went game 7. Game 5. Game 5, you're up 16. Game 6, you're up 16. And somehow, some way, you lost. And guess what? It ain't like the Clippers been shooting the lights out. Right. They are basically predicated on their defense. Yeah, they got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, but depending on what, the way the moon is set up that night, Paul George is still Paul George. Let's just keep it real, guys. Until this guy can prove himself in a big playoff series, he's still Paul George.
Right.
And guess what? You gave the Nuggets this much rope, and they've run with it the last 3 games.
Yep.
You got to give them credit. Again, whether they go home or not.
Right.
They definitely showed.
They messed up. They messed up. And again, has there been a Paul George sighting? Anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's been balling, but the problem to me is like when they had those leads and they just started like laissez-faire. Most of the time when they have those leads and they bring that second unit in, I think Dom had made the point like Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, and these guys, they basically hold the fort.
Right.
They basically hold the fort. But I don't know what's going on with Lou Williams. Like he's been like absent or MIA in the series to where it's enabled Denver to get back. So when Paul George and Kawhi gets on the bench and that second unit supposed to hold them down, they're not doing their job. Montrezl Harrell is scoring, but Lou Williams, I'm like, where are you? Where are you?
Maybe he's got his eyes on those chicken wings.
The funny thing is, guys, in both of those losses in the third or the fourth quarter, in both of them games, they held the Clippers to 17 and below in two of those games. The third quarter and the fourth quarter of one game, they held the Clippers to 16, 17
What was
points.
Lou Williams scoring? Wonder what Lou Williams scored those games.
I don't know. I'm just saying as a team.
Right. Because he gets most of his buckets.
In the last two games, the Clippers have barely cracked 40 points in the second half, maybe 43 points.
That's Lou Williams. That's Lou Williams. That's Lou Williams. It's the same thing with Siakam. Yo, when you deliver a certain amount of points, a game, and you don't do that, and we don't have anybody else, and you turning the ball over, then this is what happens. Lou Williams is not. I don't know what's going on with him. Same thing with Siakam. You average 22 points a game, and then in the series you average 12 points a game or 13 points a game, and like 4 turnovers a game in crucial points. So it's like, I think the Clippers will win the series, but it's just an embarrassment,
right?
Because it's like, yo, you've been talking all of this smack. All of you guys been talking all of this smack. Ain't nobody won nothing except for Kawhi. But you all been talking like y'all NBA champions, like y'all 2-3-time NBA champions, and everybody just supposed to know how it's gonna go. You've been talking about LeBron, talking about the Lakers, the cross-team rival, and this and that. You need your own arena and all kind of nonsense. It's like, dude, like you ain't doing nothing, and you got embarrassed.
So let me ask you guys, but before I ask you this question, I want to go back to Dom's point about Michael Porter Jr. I stopped getting uptight about who the Knicks passed on or they couldn't have, only because as long as I've been a Knicks fan, I can tell you that had they drafted this one or had they drafted that one, they probably would not be the player that we. So Michael Porter Jr., what he's doing in Denver, he probably would not have done in New York for whatever reasons are. And so kind of jokingly, but I like, you know what? I stopped doing that because I would stress myself. Oh, we could have had him. We could have had that. But
don't feel bad. Hey, listen, Chicago could have had him too.
Right.
We chose Kobe White, and I ain't mad at that.
Knicks are a different animal, though. That's going back to that losing culture that I was talking about, before. So I don't get worried about that. But the question I wanted to ask you guys is the nature of this playoffs in this bubble. Do you think the fact that maybe the neutral, because they're basically every night you're on a neutral site. How much do you think that might play into some teams that are used to feeding off of the crowd energy? I mean, they got the people, up in there that they're watching from home and stuff. But I mean, the feeling of being in the arena, because, home court advantage really means nothing in this.
Right.
So I wonder how much of that, maybe with the Clippers, they don't have that energy of playing in front of the crowd in LA, and so it sort of evens the playing the court out, because you remove the home court, type of feel to it. So I just wonder if that has anything to do with anything.
That's an interesting take. You know what I'm saying? But let me just say this: as a professional NBA player, it shouldn't really affect you.
It shouldn't.
You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't. Consider, all things considered, with the whole pandemic. You know what I mean? But with all things considered during this pandemic or whatnot, and they understand what the situation is. This is where you have to be a professional ball player. Yeah. You understand? And kind of forego all that, with the home court and whatnot. You got to distance yourself. You're in a new place now. You understand what I'm saying? So there's no home court advantage. Get adjusted to it quickly. Otherwise, your ass is going to be going home from the playoffs.
So
you understand?
Yeah. It's the NBA, not the development league.
Right. The good thing about
developmental league. So that whole idea of no home court and this and that, ballers are ballers regardless. So if you know that you're better than a certain team, it doesn't matter where you're playing. You could be playing in a high school. You could be playing in a driveway.
Right.
Yeah. If you know that it's like, it just is what it is. Like, it's like everybody knows LeBron James is still LeBron James, regardless of where they're playing at. Regardless. Kawhi is still Kawhi, regardless. It's just like some of the guys, like I said, for some reason, they feel like because they've hyped themselves up on the Clippers, that teams are just going to fold. Teams are just going to bow down to them, and
Right.
it's just not the case.
Mhm.
Nah,
And
it's
I
really not
want
the
them to
case.
win. I want them to win because I so want the Lakers to chastise them, boy. I want the Lakers to chastise them and let them understand that LeBron, the king, is still a king. Until you dethrone him, it doesn't matter if you got your own arena in LA and all of this other nonsense. Shut your
Right.
mouth. Do something. Do something. Stop all the sideways talk. You know?
Right,
Right.
right, right. Hey, so let me just show y'all something, cause I'm outside walking around. So
Mhm.
if I could zoom in, which I
Right.
can't, this is the
Okay.
Anaheim baseball stadium right here.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay.
So I'm like literally a 5-minute walk,
hmm
and I wish this Corona was over with so I could experience this shit
Mm.
Yeah.
straight.
Yeah.
And I think they do got a game today, if I'm not mistaken, because
Hmm.
I hear them.
Wow.
I can't even yeah, y'all can't see it like that because I can't zoom in.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I'm like literally a 5-minute walk, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It sucks out here. It sucks.
What stadium is that?
This is Anaheim Stadium.
Anaheim.
So you over there by Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm?
Yeah, Disneyland is like
Okay.
probably about a 10-minute drive.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Balling.
Yeah.
Balling out. Balling out.
Yeah.
Balling
So
out.
it's my surroundings. I love it out here, man.
I know you do, brother. I know you
Straight
do,
up,
man.
But
You
you
know?
know,
Winter
every morning,
time in
well,
Chicago.
not every morning, but on the weekends, like I just come out here with my dog and we'll walk around the stadium, do
Yeah.
2 laps.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just chill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
And
Hey, speaking of your boy LeBron, man, I know I didn't promote this one, but we gotta talk about this for a little bit. What are you guys' thoughts on this story with this LA sheriff challenging LeBron James to match his reward money for the gunman that shot those 2 deputies out in Cali, out Compton, actually?
Did you see my response?
Hold on.
You saw my
So-
challenge? You see
I
my
did
challenge?
see you.
I didn't
Yes.
see it, but
Yeah, I got a challenge for him.
oh, no, that's right. That's right. I did see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4 little letters in there. That's it.
Exactly. I saw that. But just the whole thing is like, wait a minute. Why? That's the thing
Hold
I
on.
found.
What happened though? Because I
Oh,
know
I'm
what
sorry,
happened out
though.
here in LA, but
Mhm.
so what happened in LA with the 2 cops that got shot?
Right.
They're trying to say LeBron James, like, kind of instigated that or something. Like,
Nah. Did they?
No.
Nah. They.
okay.
It was more of the fact.
Why would they bring his name up? That's what I'm trying to
See,
figure out.
exactly. My thing is because from and I could be incorrect, but from what my understanding is, since LeBron is so outspoken about these things socially, you understand? And he's like, well, why don't you put up some extra money to help, get this gunman who's still on the loose caught?
I wanna respond to this because I didn't hear
wow.
about it until you posted it, and
It's stupid.
I saw that response. But I'm gonna tell you what I dealt with over the weekend. So when it first happened, I'm a member of a Mets fan group on Facebook. I was a member of 2, but I left one of them because it just got too ridiculous with all the racism and stuff. But somebody put up a post about it, Dom Smith, and they were asking, well, I wonder how Dom Smith feels. Is he going to walk off the field and cry over these 2 cops that got shot in California? And so the whole thing is, when you are like LeBron or any professional athlete who has taken a stand, people don't want to address what you took a stand for. So they'd rather pick at and say, well, you talked about this, but are you going to talk about that? Even though it's not for LeBron to talk about. We don't need, there's enough people in America that are outraged and can speak up on behalf of the cops and what happened in California, but they want to tear down LeBron or any of the athletes who have taken stands about, police brutality against Black people, and they want to throw it at him as a way to say, well, see, he's a hypocrite. He's full of crap. Mm-hmm. But, my question to them is, when LeBron spoke or when Don Smith spoke and cried, where were you? Did you care? So everything is a response or a reaction to what the person stood for rather than addressing the situation that caused them to speak out in the first place. So I think that's what the whole thing is.
They stupid, man. I
said all that, and you just nailed it. They stupid.
Exactly.
It's being disingenuous, right? And it's being disrespectful and manipulative too. Because first of all, this is what I heard and why this stuff is going on. It's gang activity, and it ain't got nothing to do with the Bloods and Crips out here. It has something to do with the police officers being in gangs and being officers at the same damn time. So why would she bring up LeBron James' name?
Exactly.
LeBron James is speaking up on police brutality. That means a cop is out here is abusing a citizen, not two, what I'm saying, gang members abusing each other. That's what that situation is.
Right.
Well, that was Compton, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I saw something.
It's not even Black gangs that's involved in this crap. Just let people know that.
Well, I want to just address what you said, because that's a really good point that they're not talking about. Because maybe a month or two ago, I saw a story about Compton, the sheriff's department out there, and there is like a unit within that department that is heavily tied to a lot of gang stuff and abuses in the community, and they protect one another. And there was one or two officers that tried to challenge that and speak out against them, and they were threatened and a lot of stuff. So I think, to your point, I think that's really what's happening. Is there's a lot of illegal activities going on in that Compton Police Department that somebody checked them on it, and that's the real story behind it. And so naturally, because of the culture and everything, they tie it to what the protests are about and so forth. But I think you're right on that, because I did hear about that about a month or two ago, and some of the officers that were trying to speak out were their lives were.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you hear this too. Like I heard when they were protesting and Milwaukee decided not to play the game. Then you had people saying the reason why they lost the series because they focused in too much on social justice and the inequalities and racism, and they're not focusing enough on basketball. It's like, dude, how about they're just not good enough as a team? How about that?
Because everybody focused on it. Everybody.
This whole thing about LeBron, and it's like, dude, you just want to deflect from the fact that you allowed under your watch for an environment of like corruption, chaos, and unlawfulness. You allowed that to the point where somebody felt the need to walk up on two police officers in uniform in broad daylight, and open up. So what kind of environment did you foster in order for something like that to happen?
That's right.
Good question. And I want to say one thing too. They were saying that it was protesters outside, basically saying like, this is what happens when you mess with one of ours. And I'm gonna say this: black people, mind your business and stay out of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because one thing, the media is not, like I said, this ain't got nothing to do with black gains.
Okay.
And I hope, you can be BLM all you want to, but you need to mind your business out of this and let these people that's not your color, let them continue to protest and act the fool, because they had already been pointed out that majority of this protest stuff is coming from basically rich white kids who ain't got nothing to do with their life. So they then hijacked the situation, and they was the ones that was setting up the bricks in these communities and doing all the tearing down. But I told people this when this first happened. I said, these kids is from freaking Wyoming and Montana.
Right.
I stay in Chicago.
Yeah.
Why would you? White people don't even come out in Chicago and go straight to 79th Street. The people know what 79th Street is. Now this situation happened and white people's on 79th Street tearing up stuff.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I've seen some reports. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've seen some reports.
These is areas that they would not even if they come on some tourist shit, they just would not come in these areas. And I'm like, how the hell y'all make it all the way out here in my area? I ain't even like walking down 79th.
I hear you. Hey, hold on for a second. Let me welcome my brother Moody. Moody, you're live with us. Thanks for joining us tonight, man. How you doing, brother?
Yo, peace, y'all. How y'all doing, brother?
What's up,
all right, brother?
Welcome.
All right. Welcome.
Good to see you.
Yo, with LeBron, man, y'all know what this is, man. That is that's because of his involvement with BLM. That's what that is that they just continue to keep a particular narrative going. I think that we've always been victimized by narrative. It's really disappointing to me as a free thinking kind of guy how we just fall so easily to like narrative. So like if a sheriff tells LeBron he didn't just tell him to match it, he told him to double it. So we're just dealing with pure sarcasm, right? We're dealing with wealth envy, we're dealing with take that, we're dealing with that kind of support. And this sheriff is actually registered as a Democrat, although everyone knows Democrats and Republicans are all dirtbags.
Exactly.
They're all dirtbags. But what it is that it's just somebody that is saying, if you care so much about black lives, well, not cop lives. Well, here's the whole thing. First of all, I don't think that anybody that hates crooked cops literally hates like good cops. Especially when you deal with a lot of kids that come up like in the inner city and things like that. I grew up in the police athletic league, Golden Gloves and all that. What the fuck are they talking about? Like nobody, there's not a person out there that doesn't like a good cop. We grew up in communities where the cops walk the beat. They actually walk the beat. And they actually stopped and they talked to the neighbors, and nobody ever wants to see a good cop get hurt. I don't know about those cop situations. I don't know about I don't know if they were in a gang or not. Here's what I know. I don't condone it. And if I find out further information about it, maybe I'll speak on it a little differently. I don't condone it. I think that this was another attack on Black Lives Matter. We seem to have a lot of people attacking like a particular movement where we can find flaws in anything. I know that everything that is perfect, I can find a flaw in it. From whether it be any of my brothers and my sisters or me or any content, it could be in the paint. It could be the Jeffers Moody show. It could be anything. It could be your favorite team. The reason that I don't openly attack Black Lives Matter and I don't do all that, and with all due respect, I don't tell people to mind their business and do all that stuff. We didn't get to where we are minding our business. That's not how we got where we are. people put the city of Louisiana, and this is almost record time. They reached a $12 million settlement with Breonna Taylor's family. And inside of that settlement, there was also some inclusives on there about police training, sensitivity training, even though the president of the United States says he's going to eliminate sensitivity training because it's un-American.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But we don't get that where through protests. America is where it is through protests even before Black people were able to protest in America. America is where it is from protests from the Boston Tea Party and before that. So when you tell LeBron to do something, people need to clap back. We don't do enough clapping back. Like I sent an email to what is supposedly that sheriff's office because I was just curious and I was like, yo, just got to ask you, did you put $20 on Breonna Taylor? Did you put some money on something and double it? Because if you're telling that athlete to do something because he's speaking out against injustice, and then we keep looking at people saying that athletes shouldn't speak, well, who does speak? An athlete is a tax-paying citizen. Who the fuck can speak? Does the IT guy from Apple, can he talk but LeBron can't? Can the bus driver talk? How can you have an opinion if you drive a bus, right? Like that's stupid. If you're an American, you have a right to a political opinion, man. So what they're trying to tell LeBron is take that, and they're trying to target him as a part of attacking the Black Lives Matter movement. But let me tell you something really quickly. Black Lives Matter is up over 25 or 26 million non-violent protesters. I don't know who put bricks in places. I suspect it. But let me tell you something. With this administration and what we've seen from this country right now, wouldn't shock me if it was two MAGA people that shot two cops that was sitting in the car. Just to set everything back. We gotta stop letting people tell us what, man. Look a little deeper, wait a little longer, and see what's up. So big up to LeBron. I don't think LeBron gives a shit about that. Like, I think that sports talk is wonderful. I think it's wonderful, especially when people do it as well as all of you. Hey, Angus, I meant to tell you and Marquis, y'all regular guests, any one of these guys would have a sports show that I would tune into all the time.
I agree.
Any one of them. These guys, these guys are awesome. Like I tune in not only for my brothers and not only because the talk is great, but y'all have some of the best guests, period. Because all of these guys have the ability to hold their own and do something. Exactly. So listen, with LeBron, one thing, Angus, before I get out of it, all of LeBron shit is bullshit. Y'all, people are mad because you want to attack a movement that has historically been nonviolent. I could put on a Trump hat right now and go assault Juicy Smollett. Does that mean that I'm MAGA? Like anybody could do anything and yell BLM. Yeah. Anybody could do anything and yell blood. Anybody could do anything and yell Crip. Anybody can do anything. If you don't know the facts of something, if you don't know the root of something, stop following narrative. Because we always go into these elections and we always go into these crucial times. We always go into their like self-bickering about the most silliest fucking shit. You got a guy in charge right now that if you think that is your man's in them, you're gonna find out this is the same dude that is letting white militia govern cities with the participation of police. And if you weren't a Trump supporter and you walked through that militia, they would be happy to string you the fuck up. Yeah. We gotta stop walking into these moments elbowing each other. Get together for 1 minute. LeBron, do your thing. Athletes been speaking out since John Carlo and them standing on a podium holding black fists in the air. Yo, Angus, last thing before I leave, bro. I hope that y'all get around to, if not tonight, on another show. I really think it is important, something that I posted in the group. I think it really is important to talk about John Wall in that video
Okay.
of him.
Yeah,
With,
yeah.
You know, we're like all the Bloods, and like I don't like telling people what to do with their money and their freedom and their time and stuff, but there has to come a time where like us, and when I say us, I'm not just talking about black folks. I'm talking about all people that are like-minded.
Right.
I'm talking about like-minded people, right?
Right. Right.
So I'm talking about everybody from Dom on down, people that are like fucking minded.
Right.
It has to come a time where like we go. Nah, I'm not fuck this. I'm not accepting this no more. If Biden and Harris or if they're horrible alternatives, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be more active in all. I'm going to stop saying lesser or two evils in voting. I'm going to start being super active in everything that goes on in my life. That's all I'm saying. So big up to LeBron. Shout out to y'all.
Peace. We'll get into that Friday.
In the pink.
Friday.
Now look, you see I'm getting out of here quick instead of talking for an hour because I know. Sometimes Moody got to shut the fuck up. Hey, I love you, man. I'm gonna keep watching. No, peace and respect. Yo, Angus, you got crew over here listening to you too. It's more than one person, dude.
Okay, it's all good, B. I appreciate the support.
Let's go.
And the Friday we're gonna do that. One love,
you already know it. Salute. Yeah.
My man. That's my man Moody right there.
You can blink me out because I'm about to drink heavy. I'm getting ready to drink heavy. I don't want to be a bad influence on the kids.
Peace out, brother.
So what happened with John Wall?
Oh man. From what you want somebody want to take that one?
No.
Nah, I seen the video, but like did something happen? Like
well, I think it's more of a reactionary thing, and people have very definitive feelings, on that. It's probably divided. So there's many ways to look at it. So that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? So
all right, because I seen the video and I'm like,
here we put the yin and the yang, man.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say this, man. We just come from that area in our neighborhoods, and we got influenced and joined it and surpassed it. And this is since social media is out. Everybody wants to just make everything look bad. I mean, yeah, you need to grow up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And not do that on camera. But I don't feel like, going at him for that, man.
I hear you. Well, like I said, everybody got an opinion on that, brother. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna get.
I don't because we know how games started, and I'm not to go through that whole spiel. I just don't feel like I'm starting to get tired of that stuff. But then it comes to this because you got a bunch of squares who didn't come outside when they was young. So then they get older. Now they got something wrong with the game bangers, and that shit be pissing me off. People talk about Pookie and Ray Ray and them. I get tired of hearing that stupid shit. That's because you was a square and sheltered your whole life.
Right.
Don't mean you gotta wait till you're an adult and get to talking about gangs and stuff. Like, I don't like this. Now, come on, man.
Well, I hear you, Dom. I get it. But I think we're going to get into that a little bit more on Friday. Hopefully it'll be a show. You know what I'm saying? So you guys will hopefully join. Listen, let me get into some NFL stuff. And the first thing I'm going to kick it off with is simply this story here. Skip Bayless, who I hate. Should he be fired for his insensitive comments regarding Prescott's brother committing suicide? Have you guys heard about the story?
Yeah. Hey, could you just summarize it for me?
Well, you know what? He questioned Dak and his leadership because Dak was in a depressive state that his brother died, of suicide. You understand? And anybody's going to feel that way about a close, loved family member.
Sure.
You understand? So he, and Dak brought this to the light, and let me tell you something. Mental state of people is a big time topic here. You know what I'm saying? In this country, you know what I'm saying? Mental illnesses, I mean, depression, these are all big things. You understand? So him being a man and addressing this, you know, and here comes Skip with his bullshit saying that, oh, he's not, he shouldn't be saying stuff like he's the leader of America's team and blah, 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 and all this other nonsense that this guy should be fired. I'm not a fan of Skip. I've never been a fan of Skip from day one. You understand what I'm saying? And his just quote unquote hot takes are whack. They're garbage. Period. You understand? They're baseless. And that's instead of Bayless, or should I say, yeah, what is his last name? Bayless, it should be baseless.
Yeah.
Factless. You understand? I mean, that's just
or Skip say less.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you gotta think too, like how has he made his name? By just saying outlandish, brash
Exactly.
nonsense.
He has.
He
You're right.
started riding LeBron James. Then he went off LeBron James onto KD. And it's like, it's a theme with him. With like,
It is.
I think it's some sort of like envy. Number one, because you're in a position, and no matter what I do, you still. And when they make these announcements on like contracts and this and that, I think he has a real big problem with that, because you notice he only goes after the people who are like the high income earners in their respective sports. Right. He goes after those names. He doesn't go after, because if you feel that way, he's not the only one suffering from mental illness out there. So if you felt that way, you could have made this a statement. But it's like, I'm focusing on him specifically, because if I said it in general, then I would have to quantify it and I would have to back it up. But I'll say it about him because it's like I can say it. It's I'm gonna get some clicks. I'm gonna get some commentary. I'm gonna generate some conversation, and then I'm gonna get some people who actually like what I say, and then it makes me, it increases my platform, which is like it's stupidity. That's what it is.
It's whack. Stupidity. I mean, I just think that he should lose his job. Period. I'm tired of him. You know what I'm saying? Because
how did he feel when that quarterback I forgot the quarterback who retired because he was going through some mental stuff.
You talking about Andrew Luck?
There was a quarterback who retired. He was pretty young too. And
Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
Whoever.
No, from Indianapolis coach.
And they were like, "Why is he retiring?"
Injuries too.
He's in a prime of his career and so forth and so on. And he was like, "Well, I'm depressed. I'm always hurt. I'm always hurting. I'm always this." It's like, okay, so he's the starting quarterback too. So why didn't you say that about him?
Yeah. Why didn't you?
If you're waiting for somebody to say you lost your job, remember back in the 80s, I was in Fort Hood when he started this mockery with Troy Aikman. This is how it all started, guys. If you do some research, it goes back to that book he wrote, and where he was trying to subliminally say Troy Aikman was gay. Now, if you ever hear Troy Aikman, who happens to work for Fox, and it's been posted to him, what would happen if you saw Skip Bayless in the Fox studio? He said, to be honest, I don't know. Because he really wants to just clock this guy, but that's where it started. It started in I like to say between 86 and 88, when the Cowboys were on their run. And the first outlandish thing he said before the gay thing was the Cowboys had a better chance of winning the Super Bowl with Walsh instead of Aikman. Y'all guys might not remember all this, but they drafted a good quarterback after Aikman called Walsh. I think his name was Joe or Steve Walsh. Bayless, the Bayless then, who was the Bayless now, always took that approach of the total opposite in hopes that it would be right. Well, it didn't work out. Aikman and them won a few Super Bowls.
Right.
Then here comes the book and the gay thing. And I'll tell you what, guys, there's a couple of things in Texas you don't mess with.
Yeah.
You know, their food and their Cowboys. Crack Skip Bayless's record after that incident with Troy Aikman. He didn't take a job in Chicago. They ran his ass out of Texas. And you heard nothing from him again in the great state of Texas. But he went on with this. Now, guys, think about this. I'm talking 86, 88.
Right.
It's what now? 2020.
For sure.
We're talking 30 years of doing
Right.
this nonsense. This didn't happen. Trust me, guys. I was there. This didn't happen with what was the first name of it? Dave, Cold Pizza.
Yeah.
Then it went First Take. Remember, it was called Cold Pizza. Then it went to First Take. Then he went to Fox. No, he's been doing this. And the funny thing is, guys, he was a great writer. He was a very good writer. But somewhere in the back of his mind, he thought the more outlandish I get, and there wasn't no social media, so it wasn't about likes and retweets. And he just went so far with the outlandish. And we mentioned this before, he parlayed a whole career behind it. But guess what? He parlayed other people's careers behind this. The Stephen A's, the Max Kellermans, the guys on FS1. They're all doing it now, guys.
Right.
He was the originator. He took it to levels that are bizarre, like with the Dak Prescott thing. But everybody's doing it now, guys.
Yeah, so, but you know what?
Go ahead,
to me, no, it's all good. I'm sorry for I'm doing Max 611 tonight. No, I'm cutting in. No, but seriously though, man, listen, there's times where people just push the bar, man. And at what point do you stop crossing the line? You understand? And I get I get what you're saying. He's been doing this for years and years. But at what point do we stop this shit? You know? Because somebody's going, I hope it gets to a point where somebody does step to him and cracks him across the jaw.
What line
you know?
When the sponsors say,
what line are you talking about?
Huh?
There is.
I said, what line are you talking about?
I'm just saying, when you cross a line, man, where it's too much on a personal level, man.
There's no line.
There's no more line,
There's no line.
Which is sad. I can't buy that. I get what you're saying, but I just can't buy that. You should not cross a certain line. No freaking way.
I was going to say the
Skip
same
Bayless or R. Jones. There's no more line, R. Let's just come to grips with that.
Jesus.
It's like us now. We can sit here, though we don't go totally off the rail. But here's where people lose me today. With you have the right to say what you want, but then you don't. So there goes the line. We had this conversation not long ago, I think, where it was a different line in the sand.
Right.
There's no more line in the sand.
Jesus.
It's basically popular opinion.
34 years of doing it. And what happened? It's not, trust me, Skip is totally off the Richter. But so is Stephen A. So is Max Kelly. So is the guy, what's the football player that is on FS1? I forgot his name. He used to play for a few teams.
Martellus Wiley?
Yeah,
Marcellus
right. Yeah. Right.
There's no difference.
Jesus.
None. And it all started from Skip Bayless calling Troy Aikman gay in 1988.
It's funny listening to you tell the history. I just kept thinking, like, is Skip Bayless like the Wendy Williams of sports talk?
There you go.
Like the same thing. They ran her out of New York, to Philly, and then she came back, the new and improved. It was because of her that we got Charlemagne, and you know, but it's true, you know. But my thing is, I always say this though, you know, if you got the right to say what you want to say, and I tell this because I work in the high school, and you know, kids run their mouth. I said, you know, okay, you have the right to say what you have to say, but there are also consequences that come with what you say.
Exactly.
And you can't use as a defense and say, well, I have a right to say, yeah, well, sure you do. But then once you put it out there, you don't control it anymore. And how people come back at you, you can't say, well, they can't get mad.
Mm-hmm.
So Skip and that kind of journalism is making people a lot of money.
Right.
And people continue to watch it and talk about it. And so the more outrageous, the more people talk about it. And that's why the line is there. It just keeps getting moved and moved and moved.
Do you think
if you think about it,
Mhm.
Do you think Charlamagne the God is really a journalist?
No,
No, not at all.
no fucking way.
No.
Now, you gonna say something, Bishop? Go ahead, brother.
What I'm saying, the appeal for Skippy is the fact that people tune in to listen because he's going to say something outrageous. So
Yeah.
people are listening in because they want to hear the next outrageous thing that he's going to say because it gives them something to talk about. And then hear, and it's like, you know what?
Yeah, there's something wrong with people like that. I'm sorry.
No, but
you know what I'm saying?
The question that I would ask is, well, how do you know he's gay?
Right. Been there?
Right.
That's what I want to know. Like, how do you know?
Right.
And why do you even care?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
It went further than that, guys, because not long after that, Troy Aikman got married. So he was sort of like this. He's gone now. He's out of Texas now. So he was like again with the outlandish. He got married to cover up that he was still running with this. Troy Aikman has said, you can find quotes. Google Troy Aikman, Skip Bayless.
I never heard this story. That's crazy.
He's still Google Troy Aikman, Skip Bayless. Put them together, and you'll find one comment that he's afraid that he would still punch him in his face. They've never met face to face since.
Wow.
As far as we know.
Right. As far as we know.
As far as we know. As far as we know.
As far as Troy Aikman is concerned.
As far as we know.
Right.
I gotta tell you.
He left Texas. And
Wow.
Troy Aikman, Google it. These are Troy Aikman's words, not mine, guys. That he's still afraid to this day. Like you said, somebody's going to get clocked.
What I'd ask is, why did he choose him out of all of the quarterbacks? Why did he choose him to throw this accusation out there? It's like, you got to read in between the lines.
Yeah.
It's like, how would you know? If you're a straight man, how would you know?
Right. For sure.
Under the bus. He was trying to say another draft pick was a better quarterback than Aikman. So then Aikman and the Cowboys win the Super Bowl, so that's out the window now.
Right.
Then he goes with another story, just like he does now, guys. Come on, nothing's changed.
It's horrible.
He did the same thing to LeBron.
Yeah.
He did the same thing to LeBron.
Yep.
He did the same thing to KD. He did
it to us.
Yeah, he did the same thing. So it's like,
Right.
It's so funny because it takes me back to one of the, I guess, saddest or most ridiculous moments in, I'd say, New York sports journalism would be, remember when Piazza came to the Mets and they had all the rumors, and then he had to actually have a press conference on the field before the game to dispel the rumors that he was gay. I mean,
I remember that.
I said, come on now. This is what we're doing now?
Yeah.
It's not even about baseball.
Right.
So think of some of the things we're talking about, guys. There was no social media involved.
No.
There was no social media involved with Piazza.
No.
Right.
But it still took off.
Yeah.
It did.
It's scary now, guys. We have this conversation all the time, with social media. The yin and the yang. The yin is gone. There's no more yin and yang.
You got that right.
Overthrown. I say this all the time. Mubarak was overthrown due to social media. It has never recovered after that. It has just become a yang since then. There's no more yin. It's just a yang.
That's it.
Throw it on the wall, hope it sticks. Even if it don't stick, it's near the wall.
Right.
It's what we have now. It's
freaking crazy, man. It's ridiculous now.
You convolute it by keep throwing stuff, and before long, you get a mixed mash of all things, and something's gonna stick.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Bishop.
His career. That's how he based his career. Back then, the stories I'm telling you, and he's still doing the same thing. We're talking 30-something years
It's
ago,
ridiculous.
Guys.
That is just so stupid.
I heard Angus was a woman beater.
I heard, I
Come on. Don't even do that.
That'll run like wildfire.
Exactly. Thank you, Dom.
That's why he changed his name.
Nah,
with
son.
no evidence. With no
Nah,
evidence.
yeah. I'm
I'm
gonna sue you for defamation of character, brother.
But you know what?
I didn't say it. The bishop said it. I didn't say it. The bishop.
You are the bishop, okay?
All right, Angus. But you know but it's true though. It's funny when you throw enough stuff on the
Yeah.
wall, and at some point there's enough stuff there that you can no longer see the wall. All you see is the crap that's on. And that's what people focus on. And so when you throw these things together, like with Google now, if you do a Google search, all the BS is there too. And so people start seeing it as, well, there must be some truth to it.
Right.
Yeah.
But you got to be careful with that too, guys. For anybody that's, again, attended a higher learning facility, education-wise, there are certain things you can't use as a reference.
Right.
Google, Wikipedia,
Right.
Yeah. There's certain things that aren't factual, guys. It's sad that we got to say this as grown men, but there are things that are not source documents.
Right.
Are not references. They're just, again, Dave's analogy. Just keep throwing it, and the wall's crowded. So now you got to sift through the wall.
Yep. Indeed.
I'm not saying everybody should, research things from a scholastic point of view, because that's hard, especially nowadays. But
for sure,
you got to be careful, because depending on, again, going back to the left and right side of the aisles, you never know what you're going to get, because there's so much protection of each side that it's sickening, guys. But he'll never lose his job, because
which is sad. Which is sad.
He got a bonus leaving ESPN.
So
you think Fox is going to fire him?
No. Really? They're going to give him a reward, a bigger office.
Yeah. Oh, God.
A bigger office.
I must be living in fucking bizarro world. I'm sorry. I'm very old. Yeah, I really am. I am. I'm old school. I like I said, I just don't understand that. I'm like, okay.
Let Shannon Sharp say some of the stuff that he's saying, and they'll be like, "Whoa, wait a minute, wait a minute."
You already know.
This is not a representation of this organization as a news source.
He goes off the charts too, Bishop.
I'm saying.
Even they parlayed this stuff into a $10 million a year contract.
Yeah,
doing the same thing.
But he's not the leader. He's not the leader. He's the piggyback.
Stephen was a good writer when he wrote for the Philadelphia Inquirer. He was a good writer.
Yeah.
Skip Bayless was with the Dallas Sun, but they took this portion and just parlayed
it's disgusting.
It $20 million contract.
Yeah.
God.
Yep.
You can't knock the hustle. It's absurd. It's absurd. It's sickening.
Right. Right.
Knock the hustle.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all.
Oh no.
I'm about to go ahead and get off here.
Okay, brother, man.
All right, now. Take care.
Thanks for chiming in, my dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll be in the show Friday.
All right,
y'all
my dude.
enjoy too.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Peace.
Yep. So, you know what? This is gonna be my last topic for the night. You understand? Before I sign off, here we go. I gotta leave with a little bit of a bang. During that opening, week 1 game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans, the opening NFL game, during that moment of unity huddle where they were all had their arms locked around each other, the fans began to boo. They booed that moment, and let the record show that those fans, I hate them. You already know, because they were part of Kansas City. You understand? And I have a little bit of a history with fans from Kansas City, if you guys don't already know about it. I've gone on Twitter and I've urged and implored that Kim Jong from North Korea, Rocket Man, send 1 or 2 over to the state of Missouri and just obliterate it and kill everybody over there. I'm sorry.
The state of misery.
Yeah, I don't give a crap about those people. You understand? But again, another ugly incident during a supportive move of Black Lives Matter. You understand? And to me, that stood out as extremely disgusting behavior on their part. You know, it's inexcusable. And for that, I damn them to hell, to be perfectly honest. You know, and don't feel bad about it. You know, I won't. I won't be apologetic about it at all because, again, you are showing your true ugly side. You understand? And you're being brazen with it. You know, there's no respect at all. You want to talk about respecting the flag? Well, how come I could come up with images of you folks with the American flag shorts, your babies in American flag diapers shitting on the American flag? I don't even need to go on. You understand? But it's about respect, and you people don't have respect for us. So with that, I give a mighty 2 middle fingers up to you guys. Fuck all you that booed, and y'all could basically EAD.
Yeah.
For the most part. You know?
Ooh, yeah.
And that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure all of us were on the line when we discussed this a while ago.
Yes,
Right.
yes, I remember.
And what did you expect?
You know what though? I expected a little bit different.
You could cheer, you could boo, you could feel however you want. But this is where you're at. And I'm tired of people saying about a climate. Because this climate, again, I ran down the history in another show. This climate has been in existence since 2013. So let's stop with the instant potatoes. This shit has been going on for far too long. And there's been incident after incident in 7 years. And you think it's going to stop because R likes taking knees, Dave don't like taking knees? That's not the point, guys. The knee shit is out of the building now.
Yeah.
The horse has left the barn.
That's right.
If you're still taking a knee, the horse has left the barn, guys. Let's just keep it real, as we always say.
Yeah.
Right, for sure.
Why are you still doing that? If you took a knee in 2016 and ain't shit happened, and you got all these fancy things on the side of all these courts on the back of your jersey, who's still paying attention, fellas?
Yeah.
Again, let's not get all politically correct. But before y'all did this, people said we got your back and didn't have your back. So we really are at this point going to get pissed off at who booed, who clapped.
I'm sorry.
Really?
It just ticks me off, man.
Don't get me wrong.
It just ticks me off, and I respect what you say, brother. Trust me, I do get it. But it is, man. And let me just say this one last thing. Oh well, maybe not my last thing, but I can't do it anymore. I'm not condemning anybody that does want to support this league and watch. I can't. I just can't. I can't give my one little puny Nielsen point to the ratings of this bullshit league anymore. I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? I could report on games on this show by looking at stats and all that stuff, but as far as me sitting in front of my TV or if I'm at work and I have my cell phone, whatever, I'm not. Nah, I'm done. I'm sorry. Maybe that's a weak ass take, but that's just my personal take, and I'm fucking done with the NFL. You know what I mean?
The audacity. It's not about the knee. It's not about this. It's not about that. The bottom line is, it's the audacity of Black pride. How dare you? The audacity of you to show some solidarity and some pride. How dare you? How dare you? Think about the ownership of the NFL and where the mindset, where everybody's coming from. The audacity for you to have this, to have this pride. That's the problem. That's the problem right there. It's got nothing to do with the knee. It's got nothing to do with the flag. It's got nothing to do with that. It's just the fact that, you know what? I've done everything that I can to stomp that out of you, to get that out of you. And still here you come. And it's not, it's from people who you feel should be beholden to you. I've allowed you. That's
it.
That's the problem.
Right. I agree, because I'm telling you, it's funny because when started playing, when was the first game? Thursday? When was that?
Thursday. Yeah.
When they said that they were playing, I was so out of the loop. I was like, oh, they're doing preseason? I didn't even know this was the week one until Sunday, and literally Sunday, I realized, oh, this is actually the season. That's how far out of the loop I was. So when I heard about this, honestly, I was like, I didn't give a damn. I didn't care because my ability to care about them and what they are doing really got left with Dom's horse. I just don't care. And so when I see this, I don't have higher expectations.
Right.
So this is what I expect from them. But I will say to your point though about the audacity, I think that is the case because in this country, particularly for Black people, when you see Black people who are successful, there's always this sentiment or the narrative that somehow they were allowed to have this and therefore should be grateful and shouldn't dare speak up or question. You always hear that coming from, they, where else could they make this kind of money and where else could they do these things? And it's not because they were exceptional at what they do. It was somehow that they were given this opportunity that they wouldn't have somewhere else, and therefore, how dare they speak up? How dare they do anything besides dribble or run with the ball? How dare you have an opinion? How dare you have, as we spoke about earlier, a political opinions on things living in this country when we have allowed you, because they come from the mindset of a time when we were not allowed to do anything that they didn't want us to do.
Right.
And so once we had the ability to do things on our own, it's like, oh, well, we allowed you to do this. We allowed you to have these freedoms, and therefore you should be somehow grateful for it. So the fact that you then turn back to us, it's like somebody who's hungry and you feed them with a dirty plate, and then the person turns, hey, this plate is dirty. Well, at least you got food. I gave you food, but I don't care about you that I would clean the plate for you. So it's the same type of mindset that
there you go.
So they gave us these freedoms in a dirty plate, but you should just be happy for what we gave you. So that's really the way. So I don't care.
The problem is the root cause of the problem is you want to know? I think the root cause of the problem is we should have never taught you how to read. That's the problem. That's when all the problems started. That's when the problems started. We let you learn how to read. So if you'd never taught you that, then you would have been subservient. Once you start reading, and that changed the game.
Because then you learn how to think for yourself. You learn how to come to conclusions.
That's deep. That's deep. That is deep.
That's really, as I said, I've worked in education for 31 years.
Right.
And I tell you, the New York City public system was designed for the immigrant class. So the children of the immigrants that came in the 20s and the 30s, they wanted to Americanize them so that they could be the next factory workers. So, because the children of the elite didn't go to public school, they went to boarding schools. So if you look at the philosophy of the public school system, and they've changed a lot over the years, but when we were in school, they taught them how to follow instructions. The bells would go off, the sound changing of the shifts. And students were not taught critical thinking. They were taught, here's the information, You give you the information on Monday. On Friday, you have to regurgitate it on the test.
Right.
You have to say it the way we taught it to you. Whereas the children of the elite went to schools where they were taught to think critically, so they were given scenarios. It could be in a historical context. They talk about, a war, a great battle. Well, here are the elements that brought this about. What decisions would you have made? And then they challenge each other and so forth, because that is the class that they expect to lead. So leading, you have to have these critical thinking skills, whereas the working class, they wanted them to follow.
Right.
And so educationally, it was designed to keep people in a certain place. And so when you talk about reading, that comes with discernment, critical thinking. And so that goes opposed to, if you're trying to hold somebody back, you want them to believe the narrative that you've presented to them, that this is where they should be. And they should be happy being there.
Right.
But once they start reading and they can take in information beyond what you are giving them, then it causes them to question. And the last thing that they want you to do is the ability to question, especially them and their authority, the audacity to question their authority, the audacity to question the laws and what we've provided for you. That's where the sentiment comes in. So that's the anger. The anger is not the need. It's the fact that who told you that you even had the right to have something other than what we've provided for you?
Right. Yep. Well said, Dave. Well, I think
You watching this game?
Nah, I'm not. I'm gonna get ready to once I get off, but
they're doing it again. 3 minutes.
Oh shit.
Where's Paul George? Where's Paul George?
Third quarter, and the Clippers got, I think, now 10 points in the quarter.
Where's Paul George? Where's Paul George?
Oh wow, yeah. Because I was looking before Clippers.
Oh shit. I'm gonna have to get into this. I'm gonna have to get into this.
16 again.
Well, where's Paul George? Where's Paul George?
I don't know. Where's Waldo?
Don't be a Skip Bayless.
Where's Waldo? You know what I'm saying? But guys, I'm gonna end this broadcast. All right. So you guys enjoy the rest of the game. I'm gonna get ready to get into it, my damn self. But again, thanks to my man, the Bishop, David. Thank you for calling in, Dominic, as always, and my other Dom on the West Coast. Appreciate him for being here as well. Thanks, people in the chat room. Thanks all for the support.
Yeah.
Moody as well. Exactly. Thank you very much for that. I forgot.
Mr. Mac, wherever you are.
He's still moving around slowly.
He's trying to get that Wi-Fi working.
Exactly. All right, guys. Thanks for chiming in. Appreciate you guys.
All right, brothers. Take care.
All right. Take care. Here we go.